Making headlines this hour. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says that most people in Male will have permanent housing by 2028. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says Maldives 2.0 will create more opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses operating in the information technology sector. And the Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, Ali Sharif, says that numerous renewable energy projects are currently underway and that many of these projects are expected to be completed by next year.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says that most people in Male will have permanent housing by 2028.
During the second episode of the Arayatunge Adu program, citizens who met with the president raised concerns regarding housing. Some shared that they had moved to and lived in Male for years without owning a home or land elsewhere, forcing many to pay high rents and frequently move from one apartment to another. After listening to their concerns, the president assured that the government is working to address the housing shortage, noting that the government is working to build flats in both Male and the atolls as quickly as possible and hand them over to recipients. He said no one will be able to influence or interfere with the government housing projects and promised the situation will improve. During a meeting with Himveru residents in December 2025, the president had assured that those who had been excluded from the HIA social housing scheme by the previous government would be considered under the new government's first social housing scheme. The government is currently developing housing units in Hulumale and Vilimale, including 3,260 flats through BML's Affordable Home Leasing Company and 1,000 housing units in Hulumale through a public-private partnership. A total of 58,505 applications were submitted for land and flats under the current government's first housing scheme, with most applications seeking flats. The Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development is currently evaluating the applications, with flat recipients expected to be selected and notified later this year.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says Maldives 2.0 will create more opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses operating in the information technology sector.
The president made the remarks during the second episode of the Arayatunge Adu series in response to concerns raised by a person working in the IT sector. A citizen who works in the IT sector highlighted the difficulties faced by small and medium-sized IT businesses. He noted that a lack of opportunities in the Maldives has led Maldivians to establish companies and work outside the country. In response to the concerns raised by the citizen, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz said creating opportunities for Maldivians in the IT sector is an area to which he attaches importance. He said that as the Maldives moves towards digitalization, opportunities will be created for Maldivian small and medium-sized businesses operating in the IT sector under Maldives 2.0. The Maldives 2.0 project, aimed at digitalizing the country, was launched last year. Under the project, efforts are underway to digitally integrate the work of different government institutions. The project is intended to bring transformative and reformative changes to the Maldives through coordinated efforts by government institutions in the digital sector. The government has said the project will be implemented over the next 3 years as part of its digital transformation policy. The government says the project will enable it to operate in a more smart manner, provide easier access to services, reduce corruption, and make governance more transparent through the use of technology. As part of the reforms being implemented under the project, services will be designed so that people can access them with fewer clicks, replacing the need to navigate separate physical and digital queues. The government also says the project will transform the public experience by creating a connected system through which people can access services rather than having separate systems and processes for individual islands and services. services. At the same time, the project will focus on addressing delays in accessing government services, providing faster services, and prioritizing outcomes. The government says it will also establish a transparent service delivery system by replacing unclear and opaque procedures with processes that are easier for people to understand.
The Ministry of Economic Development, Transport and Trade announces important forums concerning the business and economy of developing small island nations are scheduled to be held in the Maldives.
The events, which include the Small Island Developing States or SIDS Global Business Network Forum 2026 and the Island Investment Forum, will take place from the 23rd to the 25th of August at the Barcelona Sundra Male. The gatherings are jointly organized by the Maldivian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Economic Ministry, the Government of Antigua and Barbuda, and the United Nations Office of the High Representative for the Least Developed Countries, Landlocked Developing Countries, and Small Island Developing States, or UNOHRLLS. Hosting the proceedings follows initiatives introduced by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz at the 4th SIDS Conference in 2024 to secure financial resources and strengthen global partnerships. Serving as a vice president at the conference, President Muiz chaired plenary sessions as the Maldives participated in panels, hosted side events, and co-chaired the preparatory committee. Established in 2014, the biennial Global Business Network Forum expands the participation of enterprises, investors, donors, and civil society organizations to address trade challenges. Operating under the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for Small Island Developing States, or ABAS, the Island Investment Forum will launch this year to identify commercial opportunities, attract investors, and foster partnerships. The Maldives will present developmental achievements across tourism, fisheries, renewable energy, and environmental protection before more than 200 delegates representing over 30 countries.
The Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, Ali Sharif, says that numerous renewable energy projects are currently underway and that many of these projects are expected to be completed by next year.
The minister made the remarks in a special interview with PSM News about ongoing efforts to develop the Maldives' energy sector. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has announced plans to bring transformative changes to the country's energy policy. Under the plan, the government aims to increase the share of renewable energy in the Maldives' electricity generation to 33% by the end of 2028. Various renewable energy projects are being implemented in Male City and across the country to achieve this target. Highlighting these projects, Minister Ali Sharif said 6.5 megawatt solar PV systems had begun operating in Ra Atoll during the past week. He added that work was currently underway to install 11 megawatts of solar PV systems under the Arise project, with the 1.2 megawatt systems installed in Edafushi already in operation. The minister said the work was also underway on a 14.5 megawatt solar project, with the project already awarded to a contractor. He added that a renewable energy project specifically for Addu City was also being planned. The minister said work on many such projects was being accelerated and that a large number of projects were expected to be completed by the end of next year. The Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy said that once the ongoing and planned projects are completed, an additional 330 megawatts of renewable energy capacity will be established, bringing the country closer to its national renewable energy target. The ministry said the target of generating 33% of the electricity used in the Maldives from renewable energy would be achieved through these initiatives. Among the energy projects, work to install 6.5 megawatts of solar PV hybrid systems across 26 islands in Ra and Ba atolls has been completed, and the systems systems are now in operation. In Kulodufushi, Edafushi, Hinnavaru, Tinadu, Fuomala, and Addu City, 95% of the work to install 11 megawatts of solar systems has been completed. Of these, the solar systems installed in Edafushi have been fully completed and are now operational. In addition, work is underway to install 5.88 megawatts of systems across 23 islands in Kaf, Alif Alif, Alif Dal, and Vav atolls. Meanwhile, the design review stage is underway for the installation of around 40 megawatts of battery energy storage systems across 18 islands. Tendering has also been completed to select a contractor to install 14.5 megawatts of hybrid systems across a further 13 islands, and the project has now been awarded to a contractor. The renewable energy sector has made significant progress over the past 2 years. During this period, total installed renewable energy capacity increased from 53 megawatts to 116 megawatts. In addition, 158 megawatts of battery energy storage systems are being established to improve energy security, while work to upgrade electricity distribution networks across the islands is also progressing rapidly.
The Ministry of Defense and National Service explores ways to conduct parachute jump training in the Maldives for the Maldives National Defense Force or MNDF Special Forces.
Minister of Defense and National Service Hassan Rashid discussed the initiative during a meeting with senior officials of Island Aviation Services Limited or IASL. The discussions focused on pivoting aviation resources required for MNDF airborne training and special operations, as well as ways to conduct military training in Maldivian airspace in collaboration with Island Aviation. The Ministry of Defense said the meeting forms part of efforts by President and Commander-in-Chief of the Maldives National Defense Force or MNDF, Dr. Mohammad Muiz, to strengthen the capabilities of the Maldivian military and secure new resources required for airborne operations. The MNDF Special Forces is an elite unit established in 2009 and trained to conduct special operations, counter-terrorism operations, and rescue missions. Its responsibilities include combating terrorism, rescuing hostages in dangerous situations, and conducting high-risk tactical operations by land, sea, and air. Until now, Maldivian soldiers have completed basic and advanced parachute jump training in collaboration with the armed forces of friendly foreign countries. The discussions come as the government continues efforts to improve the standard and capabilities of the Maldivian military. Strengthening the armed forces and enabling Maldivians to take responsibility for their own security is one of President Dr. Muiz's pledges. Under this pledge, President Dr. Muiz introduced the MNDF Air Corps to the Maldivian military for the first time, giving the armed forces the capability to monitor the Maldives maritime territory from the air. The government continues to provide the Air Corps with the additional resources it requires while working to provide military personnel with training at the highest standards.
Prosecutor General Abbas Sharif says prosecutors themselves will continue to make decisions on whether and how to prosecute cases, even as the Prosecutor General's Office or PGO introduces artificial intelligence or AI under its PGO 2.0 digitalization project.
Speaking on PSM News Rajamya the program about the digitalization of the Prosecutor General's office, the Prosecutor General addressed concerns that introducing AI could give the technology authority to make decisions in cases. He said the office would use AI only as an assistant to support prosecutors in their work. The Prosecutor General's office handles all matters relating to criminal prosecutions in the Maldives. Prosecutor General Abbas said prosecutors currently spend considerable time gathering information for cases and can also face difficulties obtaining all the information they need. He said an AI assistant would allow prosecutors to access available case information within a shorter period, making it easier for them to reach decisions based on that information. The system would draw on information held by the office from 2008 to the present, helping prosecutors and the Prosecutor General make better decisions decisions and making it easier to establish justice. Despite the greater role technology will play in this process, Prosecutor General Abbas stressed that AI would not make decisions on cases. Prosecutors and the Prosecutor General would continue to hold that responsibility. The introduction of AI has also raised questions about its potential impact on the jobs of prosecutors and other employees. Prosecutor General Abbas said the initiative does not aim to reduce staff. Instead, he said AI would reduce the time prosecutors spend on their work and allow employees to perform their duties more effectively. The AI system forms part of PGO 2.0, which the office expects to complete in July 2028. Prosecutor General Abbas said that once the project concludes, the Prosecutor General's office would operate at the highest level of digitalization permitted by law. As part of the project, the office will also introduce several measures to protect the personal information of individuals involved in cases submitted to it. Prosecutor General Abbas said PGO 2.0 would also establish arrangements to make services more easily accessible to the public and parties within the legal sector.
The National Disaster Management Authority, or NDMA, successfully conducts a 5-day workshop in Kela, Ha'alif Atoll, aimed at formulating the island's disaster management plan and training local emergency responders.
Held from the 16th to the 20th of August, the initiative engaged over 30 participants, including Kela Council members, representatives from all local institutions, and members from the general public. According to the NDMA, the first 3 days of the workshop focused on draft planning. Participants analyzed the specific environmental and geographical hazards currently facing the island, discussed effective mitigation strategies, and explored practical steps to reduce future disaster risks. The final 2 days were dedicated to extensive capacity building for Kela's Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, which comprises local volunteers and institutional staff. The training culminated in a live practical simulation exercise on the final day, designed to test the community's coordination and readiness during an emergency. Speaking at the conclusion of the event, Minister of State for Defense and National Service, Aishat Safura, highlighted the significance of the training, noting that it aligns with national efforts to bolster local self-reliance. The workshop was facilitated with the support of the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP, and UNICEF. The NDMA said that the formulation of island-level disaster plans and the training of emergency responders are core pillars of its Community-Based Resilience Building, or CBRB, program. NDMA has announced that efforts are already underway to roll out similar training programs on other islands across the Maldives.
According to figures released by Maldives Airports Company Limited, or MACL, Vilana International Airport, or VIA, handled 18,457 tons of cargo during the second quarter of 2026.
The total represents a modest 2% rise over the first quarter and reflects sustained demand for both inbound and outbound freight. Inbound cargo dominated the numbers, accounting for 13,542 tons of goods imported into the Maldives, while outbound shipments totaled 4,915 tons. Transshipment activity showed the most pronounced uptick, with 3,650 tons processed, a 26% increase from the first quarter. Of this, 3,116 tons moved via air-to-air transfers and 534 tons through sea-to-air links. Freight movements also climbed, reaching 94 flights in the quarter, up 12% from the previous 3-month period. The growth aligns with the government's broader strategy to expand VIA's cargo capabilities. The new cargo terminal, inaugurated in mid-January 2025, currently offers a handling capacity of 120,000 tons per year. The government aims to boost that capacity to 300,000 tons to support the nation's trade ambitions. In a complementary initiative, MACL and the Maldives Ports Limited, or MPL, have launched joint sea-to-air cargo services. 11 airlines now participate, enabling goods from 3 countries to be imported, consolidated, and re-exported by air, further strengthening the Maldives' position as a regional logistics hub.
Public Service Media, or PSM, shortlists the top 5 nominees in 6 categories for its Chalo de Vihirajye Award.
The Chalo de Vihirajye Award is a national initiative designed to honor local islands that excel in environmental stewardship, cultural preservation, and sustainable community development. It aims to foster civic pride, encourage sustainable lifestyles rooted in local traditions, and boost island-based tourism by showcasing exemplary community achievements at a national level. Speaking at the ceremony announcing the top 5 nominees for each category, PSM's Managing Director Ahmad Shakib said the program seeks to highlight not only the natural beauty of beaches and seas, but also the stories and achievements of local communities. A total of 50 islands applied across the 6 categories, with 14 islands from 11 atolls advancing to the second round of the awards. In the second round, judges will visit the nominated islands and assess and grade their community-led work in their nominated category. The nominations are as follows in each category. Most Beautiful Beach, Guradu Beach, Kaf Guradu, Hinnavaru Riti Beach, Laviani Hinnavaru, Ukulas Natural Beach, Alif Alif Ukulas, Mativeri Beach, Alif Alif Mativeri, Mandu Tundi, Alif Dal Mandu. Most Responsible Island in Local Tourism, Alif Alif Ukulas, Alif Alif Mativeri, Ba Kudarikilu, Alif Dal Digura, and Alif Dal Dangati. Cleanest and most environmentally friendly island, Alif Alif Mativeri, Ba Kudarikilu, Dal Rimbudu, Alif Alif Ukulas, and Vav Keodu. Innovative thinking in sustainable development, Alif Alif Ukulas, Ba Kudarikilu, Alif Dal Dangati, Alif Alif Mativeri, and Formala City. Friendliest community, Hadal Navadu, Ba Kudarikilu, Alif Alif Ukulas, Alif Alif Mativeri, and Vav Keodu. Most pleasant island destination, Kandujeti, Rarasketimu, Navadu Hohola Underwater Cave, Hadal Navadu, Mativeri Finolu, Alif Alif Mativeri, Hitadu Kuli, Lam Hitadu, and Handu Dangati, Alif Dal Dangati. Winners will be determined with 60% judges' scores and 40% public votes. Public voting will open soon, and the award ceremony is expected to be held before the end of 2026.
Insights into business. Hyundai Motors South Korean union stages its first full strike in a decade after wage talks stalled as it seeks a higher retirement age and job protections against artificial intelligence and automation.
Striking workers from Hyundai Motor affiliate Kia Corp and suppliers held a rally outside Hyundai Motors headquarters in Seoul, wearing red headbands and chanting demands that included allowing part suppliers to have direct wage talks with automakers and increasing the retirement age from the current 60. About 40,000 Hyundai Motor union members are expected to join the walkout on Friday, while around 1,200 to 1,300 union members are set to attend the Seoul rally, a union official said earlier on Friday. The officials added members of other unions and those affiliated with the umbrella union were also seen joining, bringing the total expected attendance at the rally in the capital to about 3,000. The one-day strike illustrates growing labor unrest in South Korea following the election of pro-labor liberal President Lee Jae-myung last year. It follows a series of partial walkouts since late July that have disrupted production of 55,200 vehicles worth over 2.3 trillion won or $1.67 billion US, according to Yonhap News Agency estimates.
Updates on world events. The United Nations says that Palestinian civilians in Gaza continue to be killed and injured by Israeli airstrikes, shelling, and gunfire, including children.
UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric said the bodies of 50 people, including 19 children who were killed more than 2 years ago, were laid to rest after being recovered from rubble in recent days.
Our colleagues at the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs continue to receive reports of Palestinian civilians in Gaza being killed, being injured, or otherwise impacted by Israeli airstrikes, by shelling and gunfire. This includes children, as one can imagine, given the overcrowded conditions in the Gaza Strip. We continue to call for the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure. Civilians should never be targeted or used for military purposes.
He said efforts to clear rubble and retrieve bodies remained limited by restrictions on the entry of heavy machinery, spare parts, and other supplies, as well as access restrictions across Gaza. Dujarric also said 94% of Gaza's 2.1 million people needed shelter and basic household assistance, with many families living in tents or makeshift shelters. The UN said funding shortages and restrictions on materials were limiting preparations for the coming cold and rainy season, while rodent infestations and accumulated waste remained major concerns.
Moving on to sports, Brazil great Ronaldinho arrives in Italy after joining Serie C side Ravenna FC, and while the 46-year-old has also taken a stake in the club, he stopped short of saying whether he would return to the pitch in search of one last goal.
A member of Brazil's 2002 World Cup winning squad, the former Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona, and AC Milan player landed at Forli Airport around midday ahead of a squad presentation event. His signing was announced in June, and the 2005 Ballon d'Or winner, whose last competitive appearance came from Fluminense in 2015, has joined the third-tier club owned by his friend Ignazio Cipriani, who hopes to lead Ravenna to the Italian top flight for the first time. Cipriani confirmed Ronaldinho would not be involved in Ravenna's season opener away to Reggiana, while the Brazilian was coy when asked whether he expected to eventually pull on the club's shirt and score what would be the 300th goal of his career.
Concluding with news and lifestyle, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg buys a 19th century Gothic-style castle overlooking a river in the southeast of Ireland, 200 kilometers from his company's European headquarters.
Drone views on Thursday showed Strancally Castle, which was built around 1830 on land overlooking the River Blackwater and underwent extensive renovation in 2003, according to a state architectural archive. Reuters verified the location from the buildings, the river, and the trees, which matched satellite imagery of the area. The date when the video was recorded was verified by the metadata on the original video files. The transaction is not listed on the Irish State Property Price Register. The Irish Times, which first reported the purchase, estimated the property might be worth between €20 million and €30 million. A spokesman for Zuckerberg said he and his family were excited to continue caring for this historic home and look forward to spending time in Ireland. Meta employs around 1,500 people in Ireland, where a number of U.S. tech multinationals have their European headquarters, in part due to the country's favorable tax regime.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.